I can still remember May 24th, 1991, like it was yesterday. For months I'd known we were going to have a baby, but the first day I saw my daughter and she was placed in my arms, I felt a kick to my stomach. That blow was the realization that God had entrusted my wife and me with a beautiful baby who was totally dependent on us. Even more than that, He had put into our hands a human soul that would live forever. A few years later, we began to feel typical parenting pressures. Will she take dance? Will she play soccer? Where will we put her in kindergarten or public school or private school or homeschool? And those pressures were just the beginning. As parents, we face a myriad of decisions. We want to give our children the best, yet what exactly is the best? Looking around us, we see parents rushing frantically from activity to activity. If stopped and asked, most would probably say they were trying to raise well-educated, well-adjusted children to be happy and successful. But should these be the primary goals of a Christian parent? Are we to raise good kids who pursue the American dream with a little Christianity sprinkled in for good measure? What is the guide for the Christian parent's journey? In the night sky of the northern hemisphere, one star constantly points the way north. By it, slaves traveling on the Underground Railway made their way to freedom, and sailors discovered new lands. The North Star provided reference to those traveling in uncharted waters. For Christian parents, the Great Commission is our North Star. Before He ascended, Jesus commanded His followers to go and make disciples of all nations. And Christians have rightly understood this as a call to reach out to our world, to our towns, and to our neighborhoods. But within this command is also a call to make disciples in our own families. Christian parenting is Christian disciple making. Obeying Christ's commission should orient all we do as parents. We educate our children not to assure that they'll find a good job, but to develop them to be the best followers of Jesus they could be. We discipline our children not so they'll make us happy, but so they'll serve Christ as adults. It's the judgment day and not only the graduation day that we prepare them for. Our family is meant to be a Trinity displaying, God glorifying, disciple making unit. And God gives us little children so we can influence them to become fully devoted followers of Christ, who love Him and love others. It's messy, it's rewarding, it's frustrating, and ultimately profoundly glorious work. Realizing that God has given you little souls to disciple will revolutionize your parenting. With the Great Commission as my North Star, I'm better able to navigate the uncharted waters of raising my children. It helps me to begin to discern between the important and the merely urgent. And while we still need divine wisdom to make a myriad of kingdom, educational, and extracurricular decisions, knowing where we're aiming will give us confidence in the journey. Now, no one ever stays on course throughout an entire journey. Circumstances, Satan, sin, and our own lack of wisdom will buffet our parenting voyage. But God, in His grace, will hear our cry and help us get it back on course. You see, Jesus' Great Commission is surrounded by His promised authority and His presence in Matthew 28:18-20. Like travel on the Underground Railway, the parenting journey will require endurance and wisdom. The dangers are real. And you can't travel this road without the grace of God, the strength of God, the wisdom of God, and the people of God. Nevertheless, you can lead your family to freedom following the North Star of the Great Commission. And though we're not able to give spiritual life to our children, nor are we ultimately responsible for their choices, discipling them can be one of the greatest privileges we have. In the words of J.C. Ryle, precious no doubt are these little ones in your eyes. But if you love them, think often of their souls. In every step you take, in every plan and scheme and arrangement that concerns them, do not leave out the mighty question, how will this affect their souls? Although your implementation of this principle will vary depending on the ages of your children, the following are a few suggestions to begin the process. First, check your calibration. As you look at the decisions you're making, is your own heart calibrated to follow this parenting goal? Can you really say that you have no greater joy than to hear that your children are walking in the truth? 3 John 4. 2. Tell your children. It's not just enough to have this aim. We need to communicate it to our children as well. Tell them, my greatest joy is knowing that you're following Jesus Christ. And then show it by being just as excited about their spiritual growth as you are when their soccer team wins the championship. 3. Find other like-minded parents. If you parent with eternity in mind, you will be out of step with our country's parenting, and even with some in the church. To persevere in this long countercultural journey, you must travel with others who have a similar outlook. 4. Pray for God's wisdom. It's been said that the good is the enemy of the best. As you choose activities for your children, prayerfully ask God for wisdom to discern what is best. And 5th, relax. If you're a fretful, hovering, anxious parent, take a deep breath. The journey is very long, and God is very sovereign. The Lord who commands us also promises to watch over us and walk with us. After all, He loves your children more than you do. The day the doctor placed my daughter in my arms, I was right to be weak-kneed. God was entrusting my wife and me with a little soul to influence, care for, shepherd, and disciple for His glory. And though not sufficient for the task, we can trust in the sufficient one to give us the grace and wisdom we need for this parenting adventure.